Another fall, another picture of a spider here on Weekly 50. It turns out I have posted one of these every autumn now. This is, I think, the fourth year in a row. That's not necessarily intentional. I just think they make interesting subjects to photograph. And this year, I had something I've never had before, which was the ability to take a photo really close, not with a true macro lens, but as you probably guessed, with my set of close-up filters. Here we've got a garden spider who was right outside my house. Nothing special here. This is actually about 3 feet from the wall of my house. I stood on the east side of my garage, and you're looking east here as the photo is being taken. And this is a garden spider. You can tell by the coloring of the body and the legs, as well as that zigzag pattern in the spider web that you can kind of see on the left-hand side of the photo. These things are, gosh, I don't know, maybe anywhere from 2 to 4 inches in diameter. They look super freaky. I don't know if they're poisonous to humans or not. I just keep my distance. But I do think they're really cool to photograph. And usually in the fall, we get 1 or 2 that show up in the yard. And rather than shooing them away, we just sort of stand back and watch and let them do their thing. And my boys and I like feeding them crickets. And it's super cool to watch them wrap the cricket up and eat it. I don't know. Maybe it's gross. I don't know. We think it's kind of cool. It's nature, man. What are you going to do? Anyway, they're fun to photograph. And with this particular one, this is a Sunday morning right before church. We had a couple minutes before we had to get in the car and go. And the sun was peeking over the trees, and it looked so cool the way this spider was backlit like this. And I was kind of bummed out when I first saw the spider on Saturday, the day before. He or she, are these spiders male or female like this? I don't know. Anyway, the spider was what I thought on the wrong side of the web, because as the sun gets higher in the sky and eventually goes down, it goes behind the house, and then the spider is shrouded in the shadow of the garage or the house. And instead, because the spider was on this side of its web and not the other side of the web, I thought, well, when the sun is shining on the spider during most of the first half of the day, it's shining on the underside of the spider. And that's an interesting picture. But here we were right as the sun was poking up, and the whole world has got this nice glow to it. And I thought, man, this is perfect. This is better lighting than I could have ever planned, which often happens in life. It's kind of a tangent here, but often I'll find myself in a situation that God has planned out for me that is better than I could have planned. And, recently, boy, this is a huge tangent. My wife and I, where we live, we would have never picked the town we live in if you were to look at a map and say, okay, pick a town, and that's where you're going to spend the next 7, 8, 9 years of your life. We would have never picked the town that we're in. But boy, do we like it. And it was one of those examples, if we go back several years, where God had plans in mind that we would have never picked for ourselves and certainly didn't see coming. And I know that's kind of a tangent, but to me, that's how you got to live life, is on God's terms, not yours. And here, this is a really, really, really tiny example of that. I would have never picked this spider facing the wrong direction, or what I thought was the wrong direction, as something that would have made a good photo. And yet here we go. I really like how it turned out. And I did purposely frame the picture so that the spider was in a darker portion backgrounded by the trees, and the lights were framing the spider. The actual original picture is a little larger than this. My wife suggested cropping it in a little bit so you've got the web framing the right-hand side of the picture, which I think is really cool. So to my wife, if you're listening to this, thank you so much for that cropping idea. Originally, the photo was such that the spider was dead center. It just wasn't as interesting. Cropping it with a little bit of so the spider was a little bit off center resulted in a way better photo. And I shot this at f4 to get a decently wide depth of field, which meant like an inch as opposed to a quarter inch or something like that. And I'm super happy with how it turned out. And if you go back and look at the previous pictures that I posted of spiders, and I've got a couple linked to in the first paragraph of the blog, I can definitely see a progression where how I've gotten better at this sort of thing. And certainly this is not the end. I've got way more to learn, but it's fun to look back and kind of see where you've gone and see where you are, and then look ahead to see where you might be. So anyway, I really like this picture. I hope you do too. I sure did have fun taking it.